processing laboratory. Farther back, from a different angle, the Mitchell with its 1,000-foot magazine had shot the same scene. Lucky, who operated it, was busily not meeting my eye, as he had been since breakfast. He believed I was angry with him because, although he swore it was not his fault, the last lot of film he had shot the day before had turned out to be fogged. I had asked him, quite mildly in the circumstances, just to be sure that today there should be no more mishaps, as I reckoned I couldn't stand many more retakes of scene 623. Since then we had retaken it 6 times, with, I grant you, a short break for lunch. Evan Pentelow had apologized to everyone, loudly and often, that we would just have to go on and on shooting the scene until I got it right. He changed his mind about how it should go after every second take, and although I followed a good many of his minutely detailed directions, he had not yet once pronounced himself satisfied. Every single member of the team who had come to southern Spain to complete the location shots was aware of the animosity behind the tight-reined politeness with which he spoke to me and I answered him. The unit, I had heard, had opened a book on how long I would hang on to my temper. The girl who carried the precious key to the handcuffs walked slowly over from the furthest green shelter, where the continuity, makeup, and wardrobe girls sat exhaustedly on spread-out towels. Tendrils of damp hair clung to the girl's neck as she opened the door of the car and fitted the key into the hole. They were regulation British police handcuffs, fastened with a stiffish screw instead of a ratchet, and she always had some difficulty in pushing the key round its last few all-important turns. She looked at me apprehensively, knowing that I couldn't be far from erupting. I achieved at least the muscle movements of a smile, and relief at not being bawled at gave her impetus to finish taking off the handcuffs smoothly and quickly. I unfastened the seat harness and stood up stiffly outside in the sun. It was a good 10 degrees cooler than inside the special. "Get back in," Evan said. "We'll have to take it again." I inhaled a lungful straight from the Sahara and counted 5 in my mind. Then I said, "I'm going over to the caravan for a beer and a pee, and we'll shoot it again when I come back." They wouldn't pay out the pool on that, I thought in amusement. That might be a crack in the volcano, but it wasn't Krakatoa. No one had bothered to put the canvas over the minimoke to shield it from the sun. I climbed into the little buggy where it was parked behind the largest shelter and swore as the seat leather scorched through my thin cotton trousers. The steering wheel was hot enough to fry eggs. The legs of my trousers were rolled up to the knee and on my feet were flip-flops. They contrasted oddly with the formal white shirt and dark tie I wore above, but then the Arriflex angle cut me off at the knee and the Mitchell higher still above the waist. I drove the moke without haste to where the semicircle of caravans was parked, 200 yards away in a hollow. An apology for a tree cast a patch of thinnish shade that was better than nothing for the moke, so I stopped it there and walked over to the caravan assigned to me as a dressing room. The air conditioning inside hit like a cold shower and felt marvelous. I loosened my tie, undid the top button of my shirt, fetched a can of beer from the refrigerator, and sat wearily down on the divan to drink it. Evan Pentelow was busy paying off an old resentment, and unfortunately there was no way I could stop him. I had worked with him only once before, on his first major film and my 7th, and by the end of it we had detested each other. Nothing had improved by my subsequently refusing to sign for films if he was to direct, a circumstance which had cut him off from at least 2 smash hits he might otherwise have collared. Evan was the darling of those critics who believed that actors couldn't act unless the director told them inch by inch what to do. Evan never gave directions by halves. He liked to see his films called Evan Pentelow's Latest, and he achieved that by making the gullible believe that step by tiny step the whole thing stemmed from his talent and his alone. Never mind how old a hand an actor was. Evan remorselessly taught him his business. Evan never discussed how a scene should be played, how a word should be inflected. He dictated. He had cut some great names down to size, down to notices like, "Pentelow has drawn a sympathetic performance from Miss 5-star blank." He resented everyone, like me, who wouldn't give him the chance. There was no doubt that he was an outstanding director in that he had a visual imagination of a very high quality. Most actors positively liked to work with him, as their salaries were generous and his films never went unsung. Only uncompromising bloody asses like myself believed that at least 9/10 of a performance should be the actor's own work.